Musket fire comes in waves, sharp, close, relentless. Smoke hangs low over the field. Men shout orders that dissolve into chaos. Boots tear through mud, steel flashes in the dark, and then, impact. A shot tears into her thigh. Another grazes her forehead. She goes down, but only for a moment. Because she cannot stay down. Not here, not now, not where anyone might look too closely. She drags herself away from the line, into the trees, into the shadows. Her breath is shallow. Her hands shake, not from fear, from calculation. If a surgeon sees her, everything ends. Her service, her secret, her identity. She reaches into her own wound. No anesthesia, no witness. She digs the musket ball out herself, bites down on cloth to keep from crying out, binds the wound in darkness with hands that will not stop moving. And when it's done, she stands, bleeding, hidden, still a soldier. The Army knows her as Robert Shurtleff, but her name is Deborah Sampson. She was not born into strength. She was forced into it. Deborah Sampson came into the world in Plimpton, Massachusetts in 1760, one of 7 children in a family already fracturing under debt and hardship. Her father disappeared. Her mother, unable to support them, scattered the children into other households. Deborah was sent out as an indentured servant, not for a few months. For nearly a decade, she worked, obeyed, endured. She taught herself to read by firelight, stealing minutes between labor. She grew strong in ways that had nothing to do with physical strength, though she developed that too. No inheritance, no clear future, no one coming to help. So she built something inside herself instead. Self-reliance, discipline, the quiet, iron certainty that if anything was going to change, she would have to be the one to change it. By 1782, the Revolutionary War was grinding through its final uncertain phase. The Continental Army needed soldiers. Men. Only men. Deborah Sampson made a decision that was as dangerous as it was unprecedented. She cut her hair, bound her chest, changed her posture, her voice, her name, and she enlisted in the 4th Massachusetts Regiment under a false identity, Robert Shurtleff. It was not her first attempt. An earlier enlistment had ended in exposure and disgrace. She had been marched out in shame. She tried again anyway. This time she succeeded. At 21 years old, with no guarantee of survival and no legal protection if discovered, Deborah Sampson walked into the Continental Army and disappeared into it. For nearly a year and a half, Deborah Sampson lived as Robert Shurtleff inside the Continental Army, not on the margins, not hidden away in a supply depot. In active service, she marched, drilled, stood guard at West Point, endured the same conditions as every other soldier: frostbite, hunger, exhaustion, the grinding boredom of camp broken without warning by sudden violence. Her unit operated in Westchester County, New York, the neutral ground between British and American lines. This was not grand battlefield warfare. It was close, personal, dangerous, ambushes in wooded terrain, quick skirmishes where survival depended on instinct and nerve. She fought in multiple engagements. She captured enemy prisoners. She scouted dangerous territory, and through it all, she remained undiscovered. Not because it was easy, because she made it so. She avoided medical treatment at every cost, maintained distance where she could, controlled every interaction with the vigilance of someone who understood that one unguarded moment could end everything. In July 1782, near Tarrytown, that vigilance was tested to its limit. She took a musket ball in the thigh and a sword slash across the forehead. Her comrades called for a surgeon. She refused. Instead, she dragged herself into the trees and with a penknife and sewing needle, dug the musket ball from her own leg in the dark. The second ball was buried too deep to reach. She bound both wounds herself and returned to duty. The second ball would remain in her leg for the rest of her life. The human body has limits. No amount of discipline can hold indefinitely against illness. In the fall of 1783, in Philadelphia, during a fever epidemic sweeping through the troops, Deborah Sampson collapsed, unconscious, beyond the point where she could manage her own concealment. She was taken for treatment, and there, under the care of Dr. Barnabas Binney, the truth was discovered. Not through suspicion, not through betrayal, through simple medical necessity. Binney kept her secret. He moved her to his own home to recover. He told no one immediately. When the truth finally reached her commanding officers, General Henry Knox among them, there was no court-martial, no punishment. Instead, something remarkable happened. In October 1783, Deborah Sampson received an honorable discharge from the Continental Army. She left not in disgrace, but with acknowledgement, a soldier, in truth and now in record. She came home, married a Massachusetts farmer named Benjamin Gannett, tried to build something stable and quiet, but stability was hard to find. Like thousands of revolutionary veterans, she returned to a nation that had not yet figured out what it owed the people who had fought for it. Pensions were not guaranteed, benefits were debated, the machinery of recognition moved slowly and reluctantly. And for Deborah, there was an added barrier that no male veteran faced. She was a woman. Her service, acknowledged, honorable, documented, did not fit neatly into the systems being constructed. The country she had bled for had no clear category for what she was. Her war wounds left her unable to work fully, her family scraped, the farm struggled, and so, in 1792, she began to fight again. Not with weapons this time, with petitions. It took 20 years of petitions, letters, testimonies, and congressional debates. 20 years of making the same argument over and over to a government that moved reluctantly toward recognizing what it already knew to be true. She gathered supporters. Paul Revere, who knew her personally and admired her, wrote on her behalf, calling her a woman of honor and dignity who deserved recognition. In 1802, she took an extraordinary step. She toured New England and New York, appearing in public in her military uniform, delivering lectures about her service. It was one of the first public speaking tours by an American woman, and it was driven not by fame-seeking, but by financial desperation and the stubborn refusal to let her story be forgotten. Congress debated, stalled, debated again. Finally, in 1805, 22 years after her discharge, her full military pension was approved. She was the only woman to receive a pension for service in the Revolutionary War. Deborah Sampson's 20-year fight did something larger than secure her own survival. It forced Congress to confront questions the new nation had been avoiding. What does a country owe its veterans? Not in the abstract, but specifically, concretely, in dollars and policy and law. Her case landed in the middle of a broader national reckoning with veterans' welfare. Thousands of revolutionary soldiers had returned home to poverty and neglect. The government that had asked everything of them had given little in return. Her persistence helped push that conversation forward. Her case became part of the early foundation of what would eventually become American veterans policy, the long, uneven, still unfinished project of defining what service deserves. She did not design that outcome. She was simply fighting for herself and for her family, one petition at a time. But the argument she made that real service deserves real recognition regardless of who performs it, landed with force. It still does. On a battlefield in New York, a wounded soldier chose silence over safety, chose pain over discovery, chose to stay in the fight. For nearly 2 years, Deborah Sampson lived a life she was never meant to live, in a role she was never meant to hold. She fought in a war, she endured its wounds, she carried its scars, one of them literally in her leg for the rest of her days. And when the war ended, she fought again. Not for independence this time, for recognition, for fairness, for the simple, stubborn idea that service, real service, should not go unacknowledged. Her name was not Robert Shurtleff, but history remembers both, because one fought the war and the other forced a nation to reckon with it. Next on Pivot Points, he walked through a British factory with no notebook, no sketches, no measurements. The guards watched him closely. The law forbade him from copying anything, so he didn't copy anything. He just watched, counted every rotation, traced every gear, memorized every mechanism that Britain had spent decades trying to keep secret. When customs searched his luggage, they found nothing. But inside his head, he was carrying the entire British Industrial Revolution back to America. Francis Cabot Lowell, Next on pivot points,